Sirui is probably most famous for their inexpensive lineup of anamorphic lenses for various camera mounts, but over the last couple of years they've been diversifying into now they sell a whole bunch of different tripods as well, and I've been eyeing a carbon fiber one for myself for a while now. Anyway, that's not the point of this video. In this video, I am checking out a brand new series. These are called the Night Walker set of cine lenses. These are not anamorphic. They are very fast primes and they are Super 35, so they're designed for APS-C censored cameras. And these are very surprising. I don't want to spoil it, but they look amazing. Let's start. Each lens comes in a compact black and white box sealed with plastic on the outside and with the lens listed on the front. There's a security seal here, and then you get to the good stuff. There's a warranty card and user manual, a soft microfiber branded pouch, and a vacuum sealed lens. Now we've seen this before with other lens manufacturers and I'm a fan. You know you are getting a brand new lens and I'm sure it keeps the dust and scratches to a minimum after production. Here is the 24mm and it's a beautiful looking lens. Plastic front lens cap and plastic rear lens cap. The other two lenses are identical in size. The position of the gear rings is also identical and all three have the exact same 67mm filter thread. Really, besides the markings and the different front lens element sizes, you can't tell them apart. In terms of weight, I got 508, 516, and 552 grams going from the 24 to the 35 to the 55. I don't think it's enough of a difference to cause problems on an average balanced gimbal, however, so because the lenses are identical in size and relatively close in weight, they should allow for quick changes without rebalancing. Now let's talk about the design. The first thing that I noticed was the color. This is one of two color options. You can get these lenses in black or in this finish, which is called metal gray. This is probably my favorite lens finish of all time, and when you pair it with the gray body of the FX30, the combination in my eyes is simply perfect. These lenses are interesting. They are modern. I like the design. The tight tolerances are excellent. And they feel pretty premium. They come in at just over 500 grams or so, and it's just at that point where it doesn't feel excessively heavy on a camera setup, but it doesn't feel light and plasticky on the other hand either. Starting at the bottom, there is a metal mount with no electronic connections. There is no weather sealing gasket here, and I don't believe the rest of the lens is weather sealed in any way. Moving up, this engraved giant sample only won't be on your lens if you buy one, so ignore that. On the back side, there is an engraved model number and a serial number in fine print. Now, since these are cine lenses, it makes sense that they have gear rings for the focus and the aperture, but what that also means is that they are nicely labeled on both sides, so you can see your focus distance and aperture from many angles. The first ring is the aperture, and it is smooth, declicked with a nice bit of resistance. The aperture values are engraved and filled with a nice orangey yellow color that is easy to read. The next ring is the focus, and this one is super light, super smooth, with about 270 degrees of rotation for fine-tuning that very shallow depth of field. Focal distance scale is in meters on both sides and the values are quite precise. There is a nice little blue ring that is a design element here that breaks up the lens, and here is some branding. Sirui on the top and bottom, and the focal length and T1.2 on the sides. Around the front, the lens elements go from small to medium to large, but they are all clean, no writing or specs here, and again, all of these lenses share the same filter thread at 67mm. These are Super 35 lenses, so they are designed to be used on an APS-C censored camera. If you do try to use them on a full frame, you'll get some very heavy vignetting. These are also all T1.2 lenses, which, if you are not familiar with T-stops versus f-stops, in very simplified terms, f-stop is a theoretical value. It's just the focal length divided by the diameter of the lens's entrance pupil, whereas T-stop is the same thing, but corrected by the actual light transmittance of the lens, so the glass elements, design, everything comes into play. These lenses being T1.2 means the theoretical value is probably f1 or f1.1, maybe f0.95, I don't know, but what I do know is that these are very fast lenses. So I figured with their exceptional low light performance at a very fast aperture, and with a name like Night Walker, what better way to test them than by taking them out at night and recording my wife walking. So let's take a look. Alright, so all of that was done on my Sony FX30. No post-processing, no editing, all S-Cinetone straight out of the camera. And what can I say about the performance? These lenses do not disappoint, at least at night. There are a lot of companies out there recently and perhaps that are currently working on similar products, so lens sets that are cine. And when it comes to cinema lenses, the rules are a little bit different versus traditional lenses. You can kind of treat these like anamorphic lenses, in which case sometimes imperfections can be seen as positives. And really for a good set of cine lenses, they really have to hit three main points. Number one, they have to be pretty similar as far as color reproduction, all three in the set, so the same colors. Number two, as far as distortions, they should be pretty similar across the range. And number three, they should have little to no focus breathing. And let me just tell you, nailing those three things is a challenge, and very few manufacturers out there actually hit those points. So let's talk optics. Sharpness wide open at t1.2 in the center of the frame is, well, in the olden days you would call this dreamy, but I'm going to call it soft with low contrast. Here is the 55mm versus the Sigma 56 f1.4, and this maybe is not the most fair comparison because the Sigma 56 is exceptionally sharp, but it is helpful for you to visually see performance. Pay attention to the text on these books. Center of the image, the Sirui is soft and foggy, and the corners are the same. Stopping down that lens to t1.4, the improvement is minimal, however down to t2.8, and now you get some nice sharpness and contrast to rival that Sigma, both in the corners and in the center of the frame. When you compare the 35mm to the Sigma 30mm f1.4, the results are similar. A bit of that hazy low contrast look, corners wide open aren't sharp, there is some fringing, and it stays that way until t2.8, at which point this lens turns into something with pretty good performance. As far as distortion control, the 24mm has some barrel distortion, the 35mm is relatively flat, and the 55 has a kinda strange slight pincushion. All three lenses have a bit of vignetting where the 24mm has the most. As for chromatic aberration, all three lenses perform similarly here, showing some purple and green fringing depending on where your focus lands. I would describe this as average chromatic aberration performance. It's not horrible, but it's not the best that I've seen either. Last up, up is flare. All three lenses have varying degrees of flare control. The 24mm does it best, and the 55mm has significantly larger flares. Unfortunately, these lenses don't come with lens hoods, and it doesn't look like any special anti-flare coatings were used. I would rate this as average flare performance. And again, for a cine lens, more flare is sometimes not a bad thing. As for focus breathing, all three lenses do a decent job. Take a look at the 24, the 35, and the 55. So these three lenses are a bit tough to review. I like the styling, I like the color, I like the fact that they are so close in size, identical in size really, so close in weight. The rings are all in the same place. It makes a whole lot of sense, and they also perform kind of like night vision goggles at night. However, optically there are a few shortcomings, especially shooting wide open. You can stop these lenses down to t2.8 and get great image quality, but what's the fun in that? If you buy a t1.2, you'll want to use it at t1.2, and if you do, what you get is really that so-called dreamy look where it looks like a mixture of heaven and reality. And then we come to price, which I have to say Sirui did an amazing job of pricing these, I think, because these lenses are currently, as of today, on Indiegogo, so it's a crowdfunding campaign. And if you get in on the super early bird pricing, they are $309 each. I'm not sure if it's just the black version or if it's the steel gray version. That is an exceptionally good price for a lens that is t1.2. If you get the entire set, you might get some sort of discount, I'm not sure, but if you are interested or intrigued by these three lenses, then definitely check out the link down in the description. That is going to be it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it and you learned something from it. Let me know what your thoughts are regarding these lenses down in the comment section. Stay tuned for more and have a nice day. Bye-bye.